I've said this many times of European music talents, and in the metal scene and rock scene specifically. Once you hop on the train, you really don't want to hop off. Many of you know, I've said as much, I am addicted to this space in the world in terms of geography, and I do take a global perspective in regards to the music I've consulted. At present, I think I've gone for about 4 countries, including Europe, and many more on the way based on your seemingly endless recommendations, which I welcome, but it's becoming quite a long list, and God willing, I'll get to most of them eventually. We'll see in time. Slowly but surely. Anywho, I'm certainly delivering at least the ones for now that I've promised you, and Frozen Crown, it's been my intention to work towards the finish line of getting caught up in terms of where everybody's sitting at present day with their offerings. And many of you know, if you've seen my coverage in the past with Frozen Crown, how much I've really come to love this group. And I knew I would again going in, as I said, in the foundation. And maybe some of you are approaching this from the perspective of Frozen Crown. Maybe you've heard the name before, you've never entertained their works, or if this is a totally new debut to you. Think Italian power metal, and I think you're going to really like them if you're into aggressive metal, especially with something with such strong riffs and vocal styles. This is going to be right up your alley if you've never entertained them before. But I knew going in, as I've said many times, having been entertained to their lead vocalist Giada J-Detro's talents before through a Volturian collaboration, Italian, who I've also consulted, Volturian, who I've consulted on this channel before a little while ago through 8 pieces of theirs, including In a Heartbeat. That was a collaborative work between her and Federica Lana on the vocal side. It was an exquisite impression in the beginning, and ever since, 9 tracks in thus far, I've been a big fan of their work. And I can't wait to continue the journey as we're proceeding now for the 3rd album. In terms of a selection of tracks I've mapped out and what I wish to cover, mostly by the visualizers. And that's how I usually tend to approach most of the music I consult is which one's got music videos, which one maybe did not. There's one exception here. I can't wait to feature that track. That'll be the capping off of Winterbane that we'll share in together. I'm really excited for that work, and you'll know it when we get to it. But Embrace the Night was the first track we've consulted off of Winterbane, again, the 3rd album, and it impressed me. As somebody who, again, has now entertained about 8 of their works in total, with all of you, I'm sharing in this experience of enjoying music with you, as I often do on this channel, especially when it comes to European talents for a first-time listen. Though at this point, again, going into each video, I become more and more familiarized with Frozen Crown. It impresses me to see the growth from album to album, and really from track to track, honestly. Even, again, in regards to their mainstays, there are subtle evolutions, and Embrace the Night introduced a very interesting new personality. On behalf of, a bit of a change in the lineup, I'm part of 3 of their members, in guitar work, or bass, or one of the lead guitarists, bass, and percussion. But Embrace the Night had such a new flavor to it, especially on the riff structure on part of Fabiola. It amazed me listening to what the group has to offer now. I'm very impressed to hear going forward what Winterbane is going to sound like, and it's starting to take on a bit of a different feel in part. Now, it like I said, it has those furrow threads with Frozen Crown's work. The vocals on behalf of both Federico, to be fair, and Federico Mondelli, the ever-lead guitarist, and Giada J-Detro. And then the power riff structure, the frenetic pacing, which they kind of play around with, from time to time. Maybe some songs are a bit slower than others and take on more of a ballad feel, but it can be a mixture in the metal scene, and Frozen Crown has played with that to some extent. But it mostly tends to bank into, the headbang, entertaining, thrashy type stuff, which I'm all into, 100% as a long-time metalhead. So this music is just gelling right well with me. And perhaps for some of you, again, like I said, you're approaching this on a first glance. I think you're going to like Frozen Crown a lot. And of course, I recommend going back and checking out their library as well from past albums. And we're making our way towards the present day where we are now of Call of the North, their most recent album. I'm getting there. We're almost at that point. I can't wait to hear it, but we're working through the 3rd album right now. And so far, on debut, it's great. And again, this is another example of what I always say with music. These are the types of artists I love to spotlight. Ones that are truly capable and developed and learned, experienced in their craft. And music, as I've said, is such an advantageous love in my life. I love the experience of sharing it with you. Though I can't necessarily see any of your faces, I've had plenty of positive interaction on part of the comments with a number of you. In fact, many of you who are Frozen Crown fans too. It surprised me as soon as I published the first 4 videos, immediately. And it was kind of funny because I'm a little behind, right? I started with Fallen King, which debuted in I didn't start there. I started with the sophomore album, then I cut in between, went back because I wanted to feature them at a greater depth and duration because I just loved covering them, and then I kept jump back on with the second album. But I went back to 2017 essentially, and like immediately my comment sections on those videos were flooded by Frozen Crown fans, and it was like, okay, this is really impressive. Like I knew again going in they had a substantial following. As I always say, they truly deserve it, and they definitely deserve you as a fan. Again, I think you're gonna really like their works. It just was amazing to me, like, wow, interaction is just faster than it normally is on the channel. It was hilarious. But I love how music can be quite a collaborative experience. As I said, from my standpoint, long-time ambition in bringing it to a grander focus on what I normally cover on this channel, apart from other entertainment ventures. Music for me, deep connection to my life, first love, even metal more specifically. And Frozen Crown, I wish I'd come on them sooner. They're great. But, it's fun to enjoy them, as I said, with you, and to entertain new pieces for first-time interactions. And again, maybe perhaps some of you are sharing in that experience, or you're getting the perspective of somebody who you're learned. You've been a fan of Frozen Crown, I'm sure, for a number of years. Maybe some of you, again, I'm a bit younger in my days, right? Just by a couple months, I believe. But you're getting the perspective of somebody who's just entertaining their work for the first time, specifically from, again, not maybe every track in total. I'm going to work my way through their albums later, but the selection of tracks I've picked out. But we're sharing in that experience together, as we will for Far Beyond. For second, I don't remember the track order right now off of Winterbane. The third track off the album, the second I'm covering off of it out of the four that I've picked. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the video, and we can entertain the song together for the first time. And if you're approaching my content perhaps for the first take, and you're not familiarized with the format that I use, as I always say, I do try and accommodate listeners' taste the best extent that I can and offer complete videos. And I don't mind doing this at all, especially since these videos very much are passion projects, but I want to be fair to you. So if you like to, and I kind of like doing this as well, if you want to read along with the narrative of the piece, so sometimes you do, I do myself, I will have the lyrics available for you in the video feed. You'll see them pop up as soon as the song cues up, and they'll follow along with the song. You'll see it pop up in a second. But together, let's enjoy Far Beyond, our second track off of Winterbane, which so far is great. Embrace the Night was a beautiful entry. Where do we go from here? Okay, high riff domination. That's wonderful. Great entrance, Giada. Probably my favorite opening off of one of their works. That was the best. Great pairing. Again, like I said with the original lineup and this new one, there's this tight feeling of unity among the artists. It's really gelling here. Great presence in that background vibration in her voice. Can you hear it? Like it sits. Just marries so well the instrument use. Okay, bit of an interlude break. Let's see, we'll get back to it in the next verse, because the chorus is coming up. It sounds like a perfect segue into it. There we go. Nice. Good structure on the drive on that. It's wonderful. Works beautifully. I love the motion of the camera. That's how I feel when I listen to their work. Like Giada's just pulling me in. Let's be fair, it's the rest of the group too. Like again, those riffs, especially on Fabiola's part, wonderful. It's wonderful to witness her talents for a second time now. Giada's presence on this song is one of the most captivating that I think I've heard so far from one of the works. And I said this about Embrace the Night, like, there's a new feeling to it, and here it's the same elevation and capacity on the vocal range, but it's one of the most prominent recognizations on this track, and it's given like full pedestal spotlight, and it's just exquisite. Interesting, kind of slow down. Okay, here we go. I'm like, interesting pause for slower, and it only lasts for a short time, of course. Returning back to the original refrain structure on the guitar works though. Like I said, this blend is perfect. And again, the complement between Federico and Fabiola, just like the original lineup of Federico and Talia Benazeca, such an even pairing, and it works beautifully to the benefit of the piece. Nice switch on that. Good subversion, I like it. Feeding back in that chorus. Oh, I love those segues. That's a really long breakdown. I like that though. I don't mind the long duration at all. That's very strong on performance too. Like all the subtle, the isolation and the way she's moving her arm or something like that. It just beautifully, again, like I said, marries to the exact tone of the song. And great finish too. Such effective poses. On behalf of everybody, strong second song, especially coming off of it's shortly after Embrace the Night. Although Towards the Sun precedes it. That's a good song. Again, the riff structures on that breakdown. I don't think they've done a breakdown structure that extensively on one of their past albums. Maybe in tracks I'm forgetting about. It doesn't feel like it's been that long to me, though. Not with that hold, anyway. But again, great testament. And again, if you're somebody that's introducing yourself for the first time to Frozen Crown, they really know how to establish, again, like I said, a mainstream feel in regards to first introductions. A lot of their tracks have that initial consistency, but they build, right? I'm not saying like all of the work sound the same, not at all. There is substantial differentiation from each piece to one another, and the mainstays are 100% here. Giada's vocals, exquisite range as always, and given plenty of time to linger on that song. And I said, from the beginning, at least maybe, I don't necessarily if I've affirmed it as much through my voice, but I've certainly thought it as I'm watching the performances. I love when you get to see like these live, again, some bands take different approaches, right? I'm sure know this, from music video to music video, there are different stylings. Some prefer more of a storytelling perspective, maybe the integrated performance, others maybe not. It's completely devoid and absent of a performance. Otherwise, it feels like a live performance. And why is it always of Europe, like these very scenic locations? Like, it's always, I'm not somebody that's ever traveled there nationally, but part of me is like, I always want to go to Europe because half these places look absolutely beautiful. On the nature side, I mean, they're always bedazzling watches, quite frankly, and positioning of where they choose to, like, we'll spotlight this song here, and it just works so well for a visual temptation and entertainment. But you really feel close to the artist when you watch a performance, like as if you were at a live show, right? And with Frozen Crown, I felt that joy, that passion, right? Everybody's smiling, they're having a great time. It really captures you in terms of that feeling and that presence. This song, like I said, great mainstay, strong percussion work, fast-paced riff structures, substantial breakdown, though. I mean, again, giving it's that pairing, like I said with the original lineup, because again, there's the bit of a change here, right, from the original first two albums with Federico and Talia originally, Talia Bellaseca taking on both of the dual lead guitar roles. And that blending worked perfectly, in my opinion. The riffs, again, so synergistic with one another. And the partnership as well between Federico here and Fabiola Schinabalomo, wonderful. Again, just as exquisite. And it's like I said, I wondered, because the first song, Embrace the Night, that we listened to had a bit of a darker personality on part of the riffs that I'm assuming that was more so Fabiola's involvement. So I'm like, maybe she brought this over from some of her other artistic endeavors with other groups. I know she's got a couple connections. A good library of work, right, to operate from. And this song kind of, again, floats back into that territory, at least for me. With like I said, I wondered if it was going to take on that lighter feel, because there's a bit of higher inclination, at least on some of the riffs. And at some times, I'm not going to say about this song, though, because I felt this was much more like, I didn't feel the electronic presence on part of what can oftentimes come in the way of some guitar stylings, especially on aggressive metal songs. In the past with Frozen Crown, there were a couple songs that maybe had that feeling. Right, but here, it felt truly organic. But yet still mainstay Frozen Crown, and yet taking on a bit of a renewed feel. I think, again, maybe it's just the presence. But again, as I was saying with both Federico and Fabiola, just as tight of a blend here with the new lineup. Again, perfect blending. Beautiful integration. Wonderful. And Francesco, too, is a good bass player as well. It's very strong on performance. And again, sound quality, this song is amazing. Another great attribution for Winterbane. This album is evolving beautifully. This is more so, again, I would say between the two pieces where Embrace the Night was a little different in personality. I liked it, though, as many of you know if you saw my coverage for that. This piece is kind of floating back in that mainstream, like you're familiar with Frozen Crown, right? This is sort of the central sound. And again, if you're exploring them on a first introduction, this is sort of how they've sounded in the past. But it does have some new elements, at least in On Feeling. It's just as captivating and enjoyable, even amidst, like I said, some differences. Again, that breakdown structure, I can't get over how long that was. And it was nice. And wonderful transitional phrases. I mean, fascinatingly disruptive, and it works to the benefit of the song. I thought it was exquisite. Again, another beautiful listen, as always, with Frozen Crown. I know it will be. And I hope you enjoyed it too, and I'd love to hear if you do wish to disclose your perspective down below. What were your feelings? And what's your angle in approaching Frozen Crown? Are you a new listener? Maybe you've heard the name before, but you've never entertained their works, and this is the first time listen for you. Or you're a long-standing Frozen Crown fan, and again, they deserve their following. I know there's a significant number of you, and I'm happy to join in. A bit later, I know by comparison, but better late than never, right? Especially for such talents as exquisite as Frozen Crown. And for Far Beyond, it certainly applies. And I cannot wait to hear more off of Winterbane. I mean, the next couple tracks, like, again, the one we're going to cap the journey off has got a total of 4 I'm pursuing. Again, all in separate videos, and those are coming. I can't wait for the latest of them. But maybe, because the next track is, I like the name, The Water Dancer. That's next. And if it follows the path of Far Beyond, which at this point every song from Frozen Crown has, in my opinion, it'll be just as alluring and enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.